Good afternoon, everyone. James Hicks here. Welcome to another edition of the Digital Collective. We are having part two because part one was so well received of the content creation workflow. And I've got our stellar crew behind the scenes right now ready to chop it up and ready to give you some best practices, ready to give you some insight, and really to dialogue with you as well about how to utilize all these tools, either hardware, software, and or services for those within the content creation ecosystem. I must say a quick shout out to everyone who's joining. I see that we are utilizing some new technology from Restream pairs, and we have actually brought in a couple of our guests streams into this environment as well. So we've got folks coming in from all over the place. So shouts out to you, stewardvideo.com. Well, you were second to make a comment. Okay, well, you were first. I brought you up first. So welcome, Steward Video. Into trading, hello, good to have you, good to have you. And look at this guy right here. We got the man himself, Mr. John Venturini. Good to have you, sir. Awesome, fun things. I know that guy. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk to them in a little bit. But and then the friend of the channel, Laura Williams. Always a pleasure to have you here. Let's not delay. No one came to see me. You guys all came to see these stars behind the scenes. So let me just bring them on all together and say welcome, Derek.
Welcome,
Matt,
welcome.
and Robert.
Howdy.
How are you guys?
Fabulous. Hope you're doing well, James. Always fun to be here.
It's Friday.
Man, it's Friday. We're ready to
go. See, there we go. Right. You Derek, came on already drinking a glass of something, some type of cab.
I can't make it happen. It's without a little glass of some, Cabernet to get the weekend started. So it's how we roll.
I'm on the West Coast. So I'm still drinking coffee. So.
I got you. I'll pour it down from that window. It'll drop into yours. That's perfect.
Okay. I love it. I tell you what, let's go ahead. And I don't want to make any assumptions. I want folks that are chiming in to get a chance to get to know who's on the panel today. So I'm going to start to my immediate left and we'll start with you, Derek. If you can just tell the folks real briefly that elevator pitch of who Derek Floyd is.
All right. Derek Floyd is a singer, songwriter, composer, technologist, YouTuber, and senior account manager for a company back there. See the big IK logo for IK Multimedia, which is a music technology company. We make products like this thing right here, our Extreme Pro, that help you get sound into your stream, whatever you have, whether it be iPhone, iPad, Mac, or PC. And I also have a YouTube channel called The Beautiful Now Project, which talks about keeping you uplifted, staying encouraged, and living inspired. That's what we do.
I love it. Let's go ahead and swing on over to Mr. Haas.
Excellent. Matt Haas here. I am a technology expert and a graphic design expert, but I have 4 YouTube channels because I love YouTube and I love that it gives you the ability to have an audience with nothing but consumer level gear and something to say with no one in the middle. You can have an audience. I just love that. I teach people to make searchable videos that people watch. Not bots, people. And that's the secret on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel called All Things YouTube and a whole bunch of other properties that are going to be flipping over here. I would like to have fun on the internet. So I'm here.
That could be said wrong. We'll let that go.
He's a geek in a good way. And we love it. So thank you, Matt. Appreciate you. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Robert Lee.
Well, thank you, James. Thank you very much. So I'm the founder and the executive video producer of Shalala Productions, where we specialize in creating marketing videos and providing live stream video production on site or remotely to help others with their live streaming and their video efforts, especially when it comes to just trying to help get their message out there. So that way we could help ease the challenge of just addressing any technical issues or any logistical, all the fun stuff. So as an offshoot of that, as on my off time, I always like to tinker to try to figure out things, what things work, what make things better to help the stream to go well as the fun stuff of doing content creation and also as they say, like the push buttons, which I think, well, It'll happen later.
Don't push any more buttons, because every time you push a button, something wrong happens. As with your case, right? See, there we go, right? As with your case with Facebook right now. So stop pushing
I
buttons.
just want the cool stuff like that.
You know,
I'm just jelly right now. That's all I can say.
5 minutes and the show's already gone off the rails. Let's get focused and let's get back into it. So again, part 2, and folks, if you got a question for the panel, definitely put a Q in front of it so we can address that as we talk. But wanted to go over those high level categories that we had last time, right? Production, tools, best practices, and ideas for everyone within the content ecosystem. And this week wanted to kind of talk about pre, intra, and post stream activities. So talking about what do you do as you're preparing for stream in terms of research, gathering information, sending out an invite to the interviewee, and creating and preparing marketing promos and things of that nature. So let me start off with you, Derek, because you weren't here last time. And just again, what do you're preparing a stream and you've got an idea, or you may even already have someone that you want to interview.
Sure.
What's kind of that workflow that you go through in terms of moving forward and getting that on your content calendar, so to speak?
That's a great question. The very first thing I do before I even get started or dive into preparing for the stream itself is get to know the guest. So I try to do my research on the guest, make sure I have the right information, make sure I have a really great set of questions that will keep the guest engaged and those that are watching engaged. So, that always takes a little bit of prep to make sure you know how the guest is going to feel and make them comfortable. Once I have those questions together, I dial them and send them to the guest right away, normally 7 days prior, so the guest can feel comfortable how we're going to flow the interview. After I've got the questions over, then I go into pre-production stage within Ecamm. I write out the script, not 100%, but a really strong outline of how I'm going to flow through it. And when the script is built, then I can look for images or context where I can put in the scenes. Because of course with Ecamm, you can, program those scenes into buttons as you go on with Stream Deck. So I basically pre-produce the entire project before he even gets on, or he or she gets on the screen. So all my scenes are set up, all my drops and, the lower thirds and all that stuff is already in there.
Let me hold on. Let me back that up a little bit, because you went into a whole many different avenues right there, and Ecamm, right? I mean, just the capabilities of that plus the Stream Deck. But I actually want to dial it down just a little bit more, because you said when you gather that research and you gather that information, are you old school pen and paper? Are you using something like just Apple Notes? Are you using like a platform?
Man,
I think
Notes.
we need to have that kind of conversation as well, so folks have an idea of what rock stars like you guys are using.
Apple Notes. I put the person's name at the top, and
Okay.
number what? I Google them. I know that sounds super simple, easy,
Yeah.
but I want to know what the world knows about that person. So you put a person's name in Google and everything drops down,
Right.
whatever the world knows. And then you can kind of gather what's already been said. And then I try to ask the questions that Google didn't know.
Okay.
So it makes it more engaging. You know what I mean? I
got you. Okay. I apologize for interrupting, but I wanted to not make that assumption. So folks, because there's so many tools that are out there, right? And I'm guilty of this. I've gone through so many of them over the course of my career, my profession as well. I'm flipping back and forth now as well, but just wanted to have that dialogue.
I love that. And the funny thing, why I use Google Notes or why I use Apple Notes is because it's on all my devices. And it's free. If I'm somewhere and I got to jot an idea down, by the time I get home, it shows up on my computer.
Good point.
So I don't have to do a bunch of fumbling around. So like you said, all about workflow, I got to cut down as much of doing something 3 or 4 times as possible. So if I'm putting everything in one space, it's going to be Apple Notes, because I know it's going to show up on my phone when I'm on the toilet taking down ideas, whatever. It shows up everywhere.
Yeah, that's real talk right there. So we
can
real,
we all
folks.
think on the toilet. Let's just be real.
Yes, sir.
That's where the real work gets done. I hear you.
Pretty much.
There you go. See, Robert
there he
knows.
goes. The show's gone off the rails again. There we go. We're in the toilet.
And then I get to the office and it's right there. So that's how it works.
Good one, James.
Awesome.
But that's definitely the pre-production work of getting that together and really building out the whole segment before I get to Stream Deck, before I get to Ecamm. That the thing is late. It's like a storyboard, like you do when you're doing a marketing campaign. I build the storyboard first before I even get over there. And once the storyboard is built, then it's built into Ecamm. I really like to do as much pre-production as possible, so when I hit done, it's ready to go. I don't want to do any. I try to do as least as possible once I hit done.
Got you. Got you. We're going to dive into some more of that as we continue down the conversation, because you brought up some hardware and some technology that, yes, I think resonates with 99.5% of the folks out there in the content creation world. The Stream Deck. Yeah, it may just be hotkeys, but those hotkeys really make our lives so much easier. So we'll talk into that in a minute. Matt, what about you? I know you've got a little bit more of a complex configuration, but you've actually made it very straightforward and very, very simple for what you do. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yep. I am a business analyst in my day job. Shh, don't tell anybody. But basically, I make sure everything's done better, faster, cheaper. And I, too, have streamlined things as much as possible. I'm a Google Docs freak. I love Google Docs. They're super shareable. You can collaborate. So I do lean on that heavily. As far as guests go, I only have guests on my YouTube one time a year.
Okay.
And it's a rotating. I have many guests. Each co-host has 5 minutes, and we complain about technology during the airing of grievances for Festivus. So I have a Festivus show. But the tech I use is Google Forms. So if anyone wants to come on my show that has a camera and a microphone, you give me your name and email address, and I'll schedule you in. And that's how I handle my guests. But Google Docs, every time I go live, I have some sort of outline and bullet points. I will never go live, just turn it on and go. That's a fool's game. Even seasoned professionals that have been doing this for decades always have something prepared. It just takes you to that next level instantly. So I'm a big bullet point type of person. I do use Notion. Notion is a free online database, relational database, and it could be whatever that you want it to be. A lot of people use it for calendar, for to-dos, and for content management. I built mine out with a content management focus, but I also have a few planning steps in there. But I never throw anything away. Every video I've created, I have archived in multiple places, and I have all the supporting material, all of the layered Photoshop files. I don't throw anything out. And you have to know where all of this stuff is. So that's what I use Notion for. But piggybacking on top of that, I have some steps where I can do development and then actual published. And so Notion kind of keeps me on track. Now, I'm not sharing Notion with anyone. If I needed to collaborate with someone on a design project, I would probably use something else. And I've used some other things in the past, but Google Docs, baby. I can't say enough
Old school
good
docs
things about
See, and that's kind of where I'm at in between, right? So in terms of needing to collaborate with folks, so sharing topics and agendas, like with you three, right? I wanted to share kind of the high level run of show with you and bounce back and forth between a couple of platforms that kind of met the need, but didn't really meet the need, and trying to make it as seamless for you, the guest, was really where I was having some, I'm gonna use a big word here, consternation. I don't even know how to spell it, but I think it means something. So
now you got to spell it.
Well, look, it's
you
Friday.
Can't use it if you can't spell it. You know how that works.
I'm just going to throw that out there, and I'm not going to say it ever again in my life.
Here's something to consider. One more thing, if I could.
Yeah.
People likely have a Google account. So there's no, here's a new system, here's a new service, go make an account, and blah, blah, blah. People already have a Google account. So that's gives it a leg up.
No, that's a good point. And storage space within the Google ecosystem, if you ever do need to upgrade, is pretty cheap.
$1.99 a month.
Yeah,
come on.
So that's a good point there. That's a good point. I like what Enda is saying right here. Yeah, Google Docs for me, even Google Site Builder is great for a free website. That's true. Google, they make all their money. The pockets are full at Google because they sell ads on everything else. You know, they own the entire internet, but so they can make all these phenomenal product. It is what it is, right? So, and we should take advantage of it. Robert, what about you, man? Let's talk about what you got, brother.
Well, I mean, it pretty much kind of reiterate what folks have been talking about with Google Docs. I know, like with you and Matt knew firsthand, I had a lot of trouble trying to figure it out. I'm getting better, but it's I just like the whole idea of just having something accessible that well, one thing, it's easy on the budget for sure, but
Mm.
another thing is just the means of having the ability to just to share the document and just have other people have access to be able to either update a run of the show or just a show notes just to help things manageable for the pre-production. I mean, with the old school examples, like this is just like printouts from of I have of yesterday's show from the Google Docs, and it's just like what Derek's talking about, just to be able to kind of like map out as to like what assets we're using for the show, and just kind of give like a rough timeline, maybe like an outline form as that where some of the assets are being shown, whether it's like an animation intro or just kind of like help organize like the topics. It's a delicate balance between you want to be organized as to like help have the show go fairly smoothly, but you don't want it to take away from the spontaneity in terms of how the conversation goes. So to that point, it's just a matter of like to provide the framework and the structure in terms of being organized, but not so much the case where it's like down to the minute of say, okay, we're going to talk about XYZ only for this much, and
Yeah,
then we're going to have you talk.
that's a good point.
So yeah, so it's just a matter of just being able to be aware of the surroundings, the situation as to how everything unfolds.
Let me ask you this then, and for all three of you, how much of what you use in Notion and our Google Docs and our Apple Notes is repeatable and is automated, right? I mean, do you have to recreate that run of show from top to bottom each and every time, or is it more of like a template type of scenario where you can just plug in, this is who I'm interviewing, this is their headshot, that kind of thing, and you've already got it kind of laid out, or do you have to recreate that document every single time you do a show?
I'll jump in. My Notion does backflips, baby. It is very templated, very autofill. I have to do hardly any button pushes in Notion. And then as far as the run of show, I've got my shows sort of down now, and I have my outline, which is a growing document. I have a document with 167 shows on it. It's a huge document.
Okay.
But at the top, I have my run of show, and I just copy it, paste it, and then delete the run of show below, and I have my outline. And I print out my Google Docs, and I have them for just page one. You don't want to send the whole document to the printer because it'll print all day long. So I always have to do page one of one. Or page,
yeah, remember, because it's
one.
the ink that you pay for. You don't pay for the printer. Yeah.
So yeah, Notion does backflips, and I just keep copying and pasting my run of show in my massive Google document where I have my show notes, and it's just so if I ever want to go back, I have everything I talked about in one doc. That's about it for me.
That's pretty sweet, man.
Yeah, that's so I like that. Now, do you take advantage of the mobile environment as well? Because I know Notion has a mobile environment, and see, again, I'm coming back. I'm being selfish. I'm trying to find, honestly, a platform for myself that works, that allows me to not have to recreate the wheel every single time, that's repeatable and is portable. Right. So I can actually work on the document when I'm not sitting in front of my laptop, or I'm not sitting in front of the Mac Mini. I'm at the coffee shop. I got my phone with me, and I can plug in some data. The mobile app for Notion, is that?
Never tried it.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Because Notion doesn't run my entire life. I use it for show prep, and I'm usually here sitting down in front of my computer. But hey, you got the wheels turning. Maybe I'll fire that puppy up and try it out.
Give them 2 days, folks. Matt will have something fired up in 48 hours, right?
Yeah. I would throw in, Apple Notes is pretty flexible. I have a doc that just says outline notes, and then it says outline in the middle, images, question ideas. And so it's separating that space, and that lives on my phone or my computer. So if I'm at the coffee shop and I'm jotting down, I jot down ideas or jot down the questions. If I see an image of something pops, I can drag it, drop it right into Apple Notes. And when I get back, it's ready to go. So Apple Notes isn't super intuitive, I guess. It's just simple. And for me, I just need to get in and out.
Kind of like Google Keep.
Right. I just need a scratch pad.
Okay.
So for me, a scratch pad is all I need, because I'm normally somewhere else and I can just jot it down. And I just love having it right when I land, and I can finish my thought process. So it just keeps it simple. I'm not as cool as Matt though, where I have all the stuff from all the questions I've asked. I do tend to keep some of the bigger episodes. Like if I interview a celeb or something, I try to keep those so I can go, okay, if I got to go back to that or look up a question, I keep them. But I should be like Matt and log them all. It's kind of a good way to think about it. It's like it's a lot more work, Matt, but I probably should be able to do that and log all that.
I tell you what, I see Matt raise his hand like he was in class because he had something he wanted to talk about. But I have to do this and have to pause the show right now and give shouts out to Intra Trading, because this is, ever since I've been monetized, this is the first official super chat that I have gotten while going live. So appreciate you, man. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you very much. That means I'm bringing value, hopefully, to the community. Oh, and Robert's got his fire that's paused.
You're bringing the fire, so it's only appropriate. So.
And he's gonna want his money back now. Don't do that. Okay. Appreciate you, sir. Appreciate you. Thank you very much for that.
Props. What?
Go ahead, Matt.
Give my props.
Okay. There you go. See, Derek got me thinking about the ease of use when I'm out and about. I use Apple's to-do list. What's it called? Apple Reminders? Reminders is what it's called.
Reminders, yeah.
And I have not used Reminders for very long. And I can hit my Siri button and just speak something and timestamp it. And it's a way to instantly capture itty bitty bits of thoughts. It's pretty simple, but the simplicity is powerful. And that's, you can't do a whole show in Reminders, but if I'm out and about and I have a thought, I will say, remind me in 2 hours, blah, 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 blah. And it's there.
I love it. I love it. Quint, I see your comment here. I've starred this as a favorite. We're going to come to that because I want to cover a couple of things, but just shouts out. I see you, brother. And we are definitely going to get into that because that's a great question about preparing for what happens when you're live. Let me ask you guys about, so we talked about the notes, we talked about the prep part. Do you actually use and take advantage of a content calendar? I know it's a great idea, and this falls under the best practices piece of kind of the categories that we're talking about. Do you actually use?
Mine's a 5-second reply. I have Notion, and sometimes you can view the content in a calendar format. Does the trick for me. That's all I do. Notion.
Okay.
Content calendar in what form, James? Like, I mean, I use iCal and it doesn't really, I plug in the stuff I plug in the specific auto things I need to remember. Like on Thursdays is my stream. I have those auto populated. On Mondays, I have my life hacks come out auto populated. But you mean just to see what's happening in the month? Or
so I mean, kind of like a planning mechanism, right? So beginning of December, you say, I want to do a show, or I'm going to do a show these days. I've got this potential guest. I want to post some micro content on Instagram, on TikTok, and you actually kind of plan out that calendar utilizing a tool. Robert, I know you use something like you use Social Bee. I use a platform called what is it called? Content Studio. There's Hootsuite. There's a lot of these platforms that allow you to kind of have Canva has it now, actually, right? Canva actually has a content calendar integrated into that platform. But do you use something like that and find value in thinking ahead? And it's not a loaded question, right? It sounds like it may be loaded, but of actually having something planned ahead where on Wednesday at 8 o'clock a.m., I'm going to push out this TikTok video that talks about the show coming up. Question.
I use Hootsuite faithfully. All my content goes into that.
Wow.
All is scheduled across the month. So like everything for the rest of this month is already up there. So everything coming from all of my platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all of it's set up in there. So it all goes out. So by the time I've pre-produced content, the only thing that doesn't go out there is the live event, but the live preview comes out or the live promo goes out. So everything is scheduled in there from the get. I would die without Hootsuite. Wow. It's just too many platforms to keep track of, too much to know what's going on. And when I get done plugging everything in the month, I can look at the month and say, okay, I'm light on 2-minute interviews.
Yeah.
I could probably use a couple of image ones here. You know, I can pull back and see and manage the month rather than just manage the day or the week.
So let's, before I go on to this next thing, and I want to, again, not assume something and let folks know you you're vested in Hootsuite, right?
Oh
Hootsuite
yeah,
started out as a relatively less expensive platform, but Hootsuite, you actually, there's a monthly, annually kind of subscription
yeah.
that
I am
comes
all
with
the way
that.
in.
So if you want to use that platform, folks, like something like that, or a Sprout Social, because I know Sprout Social is out there as well, it's going to cost you a little bit. So put it to work. Don't just use that. Don't just have it
Yeah,
installed on your machine without utilizing
yeah,
that. So I want to put that out there as well. And shouts out to Gary. God, Gary Jones Jr. is in the building.
Come on now, super
Let me
chat.
drop him. Appreciate you too, sir, coming through, showing support for the family. Um, that's what we do, man. We just out here trying to provide some value and bring some quality content to you. So thank you very much, sir, as well. Um, Robert, what about you? Do you use? Well, I mentioned that you use Social Bee. So talk to us a little bit about your efforts with Social Bee.
Yeah, I mean, the infrastructure is in place where I can use social media, whether if I know well ahead of time as to what the content is for the show, then I can kind of map out as to, okay, do I want to do like a quick live stream to promote the show to plug it, or do I want to promote the show, whether it's like a teaser kind of a
Mm-hmm.
doc, or maybe a combination of such. But so at the very least, I know like the structure's in place to be able to do that. I think then it's just usually just a challenge of just trying to find like what content that we're pushing out in terms of the timing to be able to utilize it. Sometimes like some shows may come together fairly quickly that I don't have a chance to be able to utilize it, and so. If when I do have a show where I have it like 3 or 4 weeks in advance, then it gets the creative juices flowing. Like, okay, I can schedule this post that go at this time of day,
Yeah.
and then just knowing where I'm going, like where we know like LinkedIn is a different audience as it is to like a Twitter, Facebook, that modify the message, or just maybe doing some testing. Like, okay, maybe I should try testing a text post there versus one that's more visual intense and planning accordingly. So, but yeah, it just really, I think what really boils down to is the timing as to when I know I have all the information and the materials as to what we're going to be have for the show to be able to plan in advance. So,
Okay.
so there's a lot of strategy involved to be able to make it work.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So I ended with you consciously, Matt, because you have a handful of channels. You've got a good book of, I'm gonna call it book of business, right? So how do you manage that book of business in terms of that planning aspect? Yeah, you use Notion to do all of the framework and do all of that planning piece, but plotting stuff on a whiteboard or plotting stuff on this content calendar. Do you do something like that?
Well, I am more of a track what I have done rather than forecast what I will do. Now, I do forecast. So I usually have a few objects on there of thoughts and ideas across my 4 YouTube channels. I do not recommend more than 1 YouTube channel, maybe 2 if there's a business reason to have 2, but that's rare. Don't be like me.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Don't be
people
like
say,
Mike. Don't do it.
"Hey, Matt, I launched a 2nd channel." My response is always, "Congratulations, you have my deepest condolences."
Hard work.
So,
Yeah, man.
but I get, I'm kind of like that cartoon dog, like squirrel, squirrel.
A lot of us
So,
are in this world, right? A lot of us, especially in this ecosystem, a lot of us are.
well, I'll get hot on something. Like I will want to build something awesome in my wood shop, and I'll just pour my efforts into that. Or maybe there's an awesome song I just did, like Led Zeppelin "Stairway to Heaven," that I want to put on my piano channel, and I'll just focus on nailing that performance. And I'll jump around. I have my standing live streams across some of my channels, so that kind of keeps it going. But I will just put a few things down across a few of my channels in Notion, just so I have it recorded, and I'll mark it planning or in development, depending on how far I'm into it. And then I'm at the point where I'm not starving for things to do. I have so much to do.
Okay.
Like that's not my problem. My problem is choosing what to do next. So
Choosing what,
I don't know if that answered your question.
well, you didn't, but that's all right. Because again, we're looking at, and I'm gonna put you big because right behind you, you've got all of your channels going across your big screen there. And
I got
put
this too.
so
These are all the.
it's
See,
not
look
like
at
you're
that.
bored, right?
Show
Awesome
off.
wood things,
Show
all
off.
things YouTube,
Show off.
piano, awesome. This guy is. There's 24 hours in a day. You sleep one of them, and
That's it.
outside of that,
If I'm
you're
lucky, I
creating
sleep one.
content. That's a good thing.
Jeez.
That's a good thing. Uh, Let me go back to Quint's question right here, and then we'll move forward. But he was saying tons of discussion about prep. Wonder how you account and prepare for bandwidth, lag, crash issues during live streams. Best strategies to adjust on the fly. Quint, love the question. I am a stickler for verbiage, though. I'm in the enterprise technology field, so we're going to scratch that word lag, and we're going to say latency. Sorry, I love you, brother, but I know what you meant. But let's talk about that, right? I mean, we're live, right? Right now we're streaming to YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, multiple pages on Facebook, multiple Twitter locations, multiple YouTube pages. I don't know if I'm going to Twitch or not. Maybe going on a website as well. So streaming on hicksnewmedia.com. A lot of places. Looking at the bandwidth statistics right now, I got a great internet pipe, so there's no issue for the stream coming, and we're streaming in 4K, right? So there's a whole different thing that's happening right there, just streaming at that and higher bandwidth. So something like a LinkedIn can't even take a 4K stream. LinkedIn cuts you at 1080p, 30 frames per second. But in terms of accounting for that, what I'll do, and then I'll turn it over to you, Derek. We'll start with you. Is just really knowing that it's going to happen. Just having that mental frame of mind that something is going to happen. Either someone's going to have an issue with their audio, someone's going to have an issue with their video, and having the contingency, having it. That scene is actually built into the show. I actually have different scenes and overlays just in case Derek goes out, or just in case Robert goes crazy and starts putting up weird graphics, or whatever the case would be. Right. So
We all
a lot
know
of
how
times
Robert
a
can be.
producer,
Be that guy.
a lot of times a producer will actually have those contingencies built into the environment just in case, because it's going to happen. It's insurance, right? It's just like how you pay for insurance. So planning ahead for that and being aware that something like that is going to happen. But I'll dive in more as well. But Derek, let me go with you, man, and talk to us about what you do in terms of planning just in case things happen, your system crashes or whatever the case may be.
I'm definitely with Matt. I know Matt was mentioning, always go with an Ethernet. Go hardline. Do not ever go Wi-Fi, and that's the first rule of thumb on any live stream. Never, ever. One more time, ever go Wi-Fi. It's just not that reliable. Don't trust it. I don't care if they tell you it's the best Wi-Fi in the world. No, give me a hard line every time. Number two, I always run a speed test to see how my direction is going back and forth. How my give me the right terminology there, Mr. Hicks. I'm trying to test my internet speed, but what's my right terminology so I say it right?
Oh, essentially, you're just trying to test your latency and your upload and your download speed, right?
Yeah,
just how fast it's coming out.
I want to make sure I'm getting the maximum I can get that I'm paying for. And the second thing I do, or third thing I do, is I turn off everything else in the house. So if everybody else is on the internet somewhere, they're direct. Come on now, everybody in the house.
Well, that's double protection, because you're not completely off of Wi-Fi a lot of times. So if someone's streaming Netflix and YouTube in the house,
get
you
off
got
the internet. Don't be watching a movie. Don't be farting around in the office. Get off my internet so I can make sure I have everything I can get from that. Come on, help me out, y'all. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. Robert,
you're out there. You're not telling anything that's not true. That's true.
So now once all that's in place and I've got the stream coming in, like you, James, I have a couple of contingency plans if something doesn't go or the internet fails or their internet fails. I have a couple of scenes that I can pop up that will segue into something, maybe a quick video or 30 seconds, something that will carry us over while I fix the internet. My wife actually has a small little one of those internet, what do you call it? High-speed internet boxes that you can take with you. It's like portable. And that's always nearby. So if I got to do a stream, I can flip to that. If something happens with my signal, there's another signal in the house.
Oh, okay. So a Wi-Fi. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a super cool little box. I mean, it's Wi-Fi, so you're struggling, but at the same time, if I go completely down, I have a second source that's not tied to anything in the house that I can drop into quickly.
Yeah.
And come on board. So That's what I would do for sure.
Dr. Haas.
Everything is on a universal power supply, or UPS for short, not the
That's so
delivery
good.
service.
That's so good.
When and if there's ever a power outage, because I have a little alarm when there's no power, 11 of these things ring throughout my home. It's really annoying. So, and I will reboot occasionally. I don't always reboot, but I'll do that. Always make sure you're on Ethernet and Wi-Fi is down. I do have the ability to connect to my phone's internet through its hotspot service through my carrier.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be a problem, but internet issues usually don't plague me, knock on wood. Things that trip me up is I'm streaming to the wrong service. Like I don't have Ecamm set to the right output. I'll be going to Facebook rather than YouTube, or I won't be going to Restream. So that trips me up. Sometimes I'm muted. That trips me up. So I have a list of 18 items I do before I go live. Eight of them are outside of Ecamm, my streaming software. So this things like the lights and things like that. And then 8 of them are things in Ecamm that I go through and I check. And that minimizes the risk something's going to happen. Doesn't eliminate it, but it minimizes it.
That is perfect segue, because that's obviously the next conversation about a tech check. But I want to let Robert chime in as well, because there's one thing that no one's mentioned yet that, again, it's so simple that really helps, that folks need to keep in mind as well. So, Mr. Lee, how about you?
Well, maybe the answer, maybe a segue to the tech check, is just the ability to take advantage of your pre-production, of just identifying what assets, resources you need for your production. So that way, if you can troubleshoot as to what potential problems may cause, that you have a chance to iron out of it. In addition to that, I always love to have like a redundancy. So like, for example, I'm using these behind the ear headphones, but if you pardon the expression, crap out, I have another headphone ready to go to be able to pop in, so that way we won't get any feedback from anything else going on. If the camera had crapped out here, I've got a camera behind this camera that I could get ready to go to either plug in, so that way we wouldn't have a problem with a video connection. I have like a different reference monitor, so that if one were to go down, I have another one back up. It's overkill, but as they say, anything can happen, will happen. So you want to be able to try to safeguard and minimize any unnecessary anxiety of your live stream by having things ready to go to be able to keep the live stream going. And to your point of tech checks, I mean, a lot of it, when you do that before the show, it helps you just try to like nail down any potential issues. Like Matt had mentioned before, like, there could be issues with the audio or video, like being mute. Like yesterday's show, I was fortunate that Matt caught a show that I did yesterday with another co-host, and the audio went. And so luckily, as a backup plan, what I had done was I had used vMix to run the production, fed it into Restream, so that if for whatever reason, if something were to go wrong, I still would have the ability to be able to push a video out, because my co-host, I could send a Restream link that they could be able to get into the show, establish another connection into the video, have them go on, and then I could at least go behind the scenes and put the fire out while she's going on. So it's like little things like that to just be able to plan ahead, to just try to figure out like where the problems are, to be able to just be proactive, to be able to keep the show going. And then when all else fails, it's always good to have if you don't have like a backup stream, because it is quite an investment to have something like that. If you have like another channel or another avenue to pipe the stream, then it may not be a perfect solution, but the fact that you at least can direct audience members to go to another channel to watch the show, it'd be a disruption as to where they're watching. At least you can keep the show going. Not an ideal solution, but at least you have something in place. Right. So a lot of it is like through repetition, through different scenarios of where the problem could come up. You get that much better as to how to handle it, to be able to do the next show better.
Yeah, appreciate that. But you touched on something that I'm gonna call kind of a 201 level situation there, about having a backup environment running, so just in case something goes wrong within your infrastructure, right? Still having the audio coming in through a hardware or a software platform, so you still have a clean show, right? Just because it's not going out to YouTube or to wherever the case may be, you're using some infrastructure. Like I'm using Rodecaster Pro, and I'm actually recording everyone's individual audio channel right now separately onto my Rodecaster. So if I use your word, if I crap out, oh well. And when I cut this up into micro content, I can pull Derek out, I can pull you out, I can pull Matt out, and still have that clean audio segment. So that's I'm gonna call it a 201, kind of 301, a higher level type of a conversation that you should definitely put yourself out there. You got to buy me a coffee, or you got some type of service that you offer through Shalala to actually coach folks on that, because that's an interesting thing, and that's actually something that folks should not take lightly of if they're looking at doing content creation and want to ensure that that stream is reliable and is out there.
I appreciate it. No, I mean, they could
I'm
reach
trying
out
to make you.
directly.
I'm trying to make you some extra Christmas cash there. Right. Take it. Right. I just do the softball at you.
I appreciate.
Okay.
No, I was gonna say, like, they can always contact me through my website, the schedule appointment, and it's just a matter of just having that conversation to understand what the challenge is, to be able to work out a plan, or at least to walk through it. Because the best thing to learn is just to be able to do it hands on, and I find it that if you're able to do it like a one-on-one, or at least create a scenario where you can map out or try to simulate the problem to be able to have something tangible to be able to work with, is always a nice thing. Like I know, like
now you're milking it, dude. See,
Yeah.
okay. Now you're just milking the whole situation. Okay, just take the flowers that I gave you, man, and put them on the table.
Can I ask Matt a question before we move off from this thing?
Sure.
Super important. Because you brought up something that you said, what if the stream that you set up in Restream, or like it fails and you have it connected to, you're using Ecamm and you didn't set up the right direction to go out. Like when you set up Ecamm, and maybe everyone that doesn't use Ecamm, but there's a section of Ecamm where it asks you to choose a destination. And if you've pre-set up in Restream where that's going to go, that destination shows up in Ecamm, correct, Matt? So when I use Restream, I will set up my live streams usually a month out, so I know where they're going to be. I use all the application there, put the images up, put the copy up. It's all there. And let's say I say Restream, I'm going to have a live stream on YouTube December 9th. So in Restream, it shows up. And when I open up YouTube, it's already there.
Right.
And then when I open up Ecamm and hit destination, that destination is chosen there for me already. Correct. There. Do you use that, Matt? And how does that, and has that happened where you went to that destination, but it stopped and you couldn't get back on that stream?
Well, the thing is, you have to make the destination choice properly. Because when I first got on Restream, I set up Restream and I was going to go live now, like I didn't pre-schedule it. And then I went over to Ecamm and I hit go live. And it wasn't working. I was going to open a ticket. And I was like, oh, you have to choose Restream in Ecamm as the destination. But I've never run in. I think your question is, how do you fix something on the fly? No, if you go to the wrong thing, you have to shut it down and start over, as far as I know.
Pretty much.
Because I've launched one from Ecamm and forgot to hit the destination. And then the Restream was going and it was going. I'm like, oh my God, it's going to the wrong place. No one's going to see the stream. I'm like, oh, it's all crashed down. Well, so I had to jump back in real quick and tell everybody.
I went live. I went live one time and there was no one in the chat. I'm like, what's going on here? Here I was just recording in Ecamm. I didn't even choose a destination.
There you go. Right. So there's some talk right there about us getting caught in ourselves. The thing that I was wanting to see if someone brought up was really about your Chrome browser or your internet browser and all the multiple tabs, making sure that those tabs that are not necessary are closed, because especially something like Chrome, which is a resource hog, just every single, they say they're working on performance, but they're not, right? It's just not, right? When you've got video playing on a particular tab, when you're trying to monitor maybe your stream in another tab, you got YouTube open, that's pulling a lot of resources from you. And if you don't have that really high internet pipe going up, that's going to take all of the resources, because it's trying to allocate that. So that's one that I would add to, again, just making sure that issues while going live don't really affect you. So
the modern Macs have really minimized the problem of application resources. Not talking resources as an internet pipe, but hogging computer resources has really minimized that. But from my show, I'll quit Chrome and call it back up, and then only open the tabs I plan on sharing during the show. Like I'll have my website up, my Patreon, my Facebook group because I like to pop over to them,
Mhm.
and I'll just shut everything down, mostly just to have a clean experience. But I'm also doing it because each tab is taking up resources. So
Good point.
I will do that. That's a
Good point. Good point.
That used to be a big problem under the Intel architecture. It's
Definitely.
less of a problem now.
M1 Max are so much better. Mr. Natividad, good to see you, sir. I like your question here. How do you handle and filter negative feedback? Thinking about creating instructional videos for marksmanship. So that's, man, having a let's talk to the guy who's got 4 or 5 YouTube channels first. Let's go into that, because I know, and I've seen you deal with trolls and unsavory comments. Let's go.
I love this question. Here's the thing. I put stuff out in the world that I think is going to be helpful, and I put out stuff that I hope people can follow my adventures as I figure things out and just try and learn and just share the process. So I'm not putting stuff out with the intention of hurting someone or degrading someone or bringing someone down or putting something over. So any negative feedback that comes my way, it rolls right off my back. It does not bother me one single bit. You just don't let it bother you. I'm untouchable as far as that. I just think, oh, well, you have a problem with this? Okay, I can't please everybody. I'm not out to please everybody. I'm out to share what I'm sharing. And if you want to come along for the ride, I hope you find it enjoyable. And I've gotten some crazy, I've got yelled at for the dumbest things. I don't lose a wink of sleep. Someone said, I'm downvoting your video because you used plywood. You should have used solid wood. I got complaints that my fingernails were too clean. Someone didn't like my fingernails. I mean, you can't go at it trying to not have people be mad at you. Don't even try. It's just, I don't know.
Have a thick skin, right? And know that you're not winning unless you got some trolls and some haters out there.
I have one little catchphrase I say in my head when I have a hater, and it has some bad words, but I'll censor myself. I'm just like, F that mother effer.
There you go. Oh my goodness.
That's what you gotta say to yourself.
I'm gonna have to put that explicit tag on this one.
No. That's what I have to say.
Let me go to you, Derek, man, because you've got a lot of shows, right, as well, and you interview, you talk about a lot of different topics, similar to what I do. And I'm just wondering, again, when you got someone who doesn't agree with your methodology or what you're talking about, how do you deal with that?
First of all, I just want to say props to Matt for managing 4 different YouTube channels. You must be insane and glutton for punishment. I have 3 segments on one YouTube channel, and it's plenty for me to do to keep up those 3 segments. So you are out of your friggin' mind. But hey, good.
I'm not disagreeing.
Negative comments. The first thing I always say, hey, thank you for your input. I appreciate the things that you're saying. I may not always agree, but I really appreciate how you're coming at with that. Let's talk offline. Maybe we can get together with a solution. Please email me your information so I can get back with you right away. Done. Because I find that if I can diffuse that person and let them speak their piece, but I don't have the time to let them spill the entire negativity on the show, then it's, hey, thanks for your input. I really appreciate that. I may not agree with that, but I'd love to talk with that further offline. Please email me at XYZ so we can talk about that. That at least lets that person be heard. He doesn't continue his rant. And sometimes their discussion is valid. Sometimes it's something I should think about or consider. So it gives me the ability to think about it later. That's how I handle it.
So you actually care, huh?
Well, it's like I have to be able to decipher. I always use the sift method. Someone's going to pour a bunch of dirt on my stuff, but sometimes in that dirt there's gold. And if I can sift it, I might find something in there.
Okay.
But if I don't have time to sift in the middle of a show. So let me sift it later. That gives me time.
I like that. There you go. Make it plain there. Like my pastor always used to say, make it plain. I like that for sure. Okay.
And it solves that person from walking away angry from my show.
Yeah.
He was at least heard. I didn't cuss him out. I didn't give him any negative feedback. I listened to what he had to say. And the guy can't go away going, well, he didn't even talk. He can't say any of that. He said, well, he thanked me. He appreciated what I said. He has nothing to go against with me negatively because I handled him in a positive light.
Good point. Robert, what about you? How do you deal with the haters, the trolls, the off-topic comments, right? Or someone's trying to take you off of your game, kind of thing?
I mean, pretty much what Matt and Derek said pretty much is I would agree with. I mean, the only thing I would add is that the unusual types of posts like the bots or spam where like it has nothing to do with your topic and they're just like either like soliciting whatever. And so it's just a matter of like, I mean, I don't I think because of the nature of the language or just because of how it was inappropriate. I mean, those are things I just have to remove just because it absolutely has nothing to do with the topic, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't bring any value or any relevancy to it. So so I mean that's the only thing I can add is just that if the content there is not so much trolling, but just either non sequitur or just even just a gross.
Yeah.
Conduct
Yeah.
is just the things just to watch out for. So,
Got you.
but that's the only thing I could add to what the other gentlemen have said.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So that, I guess, long story short, David, it's going to happen. You're going to have people who disagree with what you're putting out, even if it's the best thing since sliced bread. You're going to have a hater out there. You're going to have a troll. And again, I'll say that statement again. If you're not winning unless you have them, but don't let that deter you from going out there, pressing record, and actually putting out your content, spreading your message. Those folks may actually be, the criticism may be constructive, actually, to kind of use what Derek was saying, right? Actually take it, evaluate it, and say this may help me as well as I move down my journey. So, and I know you've got the thick skin, so you're not gonna let anyone get underneath your skin and deter you. So take it for what it's worth, man. Go out there and create your content and go along this journey. So we've talked a little bit about in terms of notes, in terms of framework, foundation, how we prepare, content calendars, going out there and forecasting what we're doing for the next days, weeks, months, things of that nature. I've talked a little bit about infrastructure issues as they may arise, especially going live. And it's a whole different thing going live versus video on demand as well, right? Video on demand, look, you can chop that up in Final Cut or in whatever application that Adobe application, whatever you're using, and make it look 100% perfect. But I love just the ad lib on the spot right now. If something goes awry, I'm not editing this at all. I love that aspect of going live. That's why, again, high percentage of what I do are live streams. But let's talk a little bit about that tech check, though, because I think we glossed over that, but there's still some aspects of making sure that before you press record, maybe even after you unpress record, right after the show, what are the things that you do pre, intra, and post in terms of a technology check to make sure that your stream is going to be successful? Matt, we'll start with you.
Okay. If I could do a little bit of self-promotion.
Let's do it, man.
My to-do lists are free. If you sign up for my email newsletter, you can get them in an instant download. So everything I'm about to talk about is documented. Just sign up for the email newsletter and you can get it. But for prepping for live, I will create a unique thumbnail. I'll do the marketing blasts all over the interwebs, turn on the studio lights. I'll confirm my audio because I have a Rodecaster Pro. It's pretty complicated, and make sure I'm unmuted. Turn off Wi-Fi, reboot if needed. I don't always reboot. Print my bulleted list because I'll never go on air without one. And I'll set my Stream Deck. I have this sleep pretty fast. Anyway, I do that. When I'm inside Ecamm, I have 8 things I do to make sure Ecamm is right. Because, look, I make a lot of content across a lot of channels, and I need different settings. So it's never the same. So this keeps me grounded. I make sure I'm at 60 frames a second, 1080p. I configure my copy paste doc before I print it because I got to have that. I configure the countdown timer. I configure the scrolling type. I configure the bald spot cam. I've got a different camera that I use during my countdown timer. The second monitor resolution I have to make sure is correct because when I share my screen like this, I don't like to share my screen being my gargantuanly huge monitor because it makes everything smaller. So to be kind to my viewers, I set, anyways, I do that. And then I make sure the overlay lines up. This you can't really tell, but don't you hate when you're watching a streamer and they go to read an article and then the paragraph of text that they're reading is half cut off by the frame of their overlay?
Yes.
It drives me nuts. I have a point to make sure everything's lined up perfectly to have the best experience. So that's my prep for live. Before I publish, I go through a lot of stuff. You want me to run through them? It only takes a second.
Hold on. What's funny about that? Let me just make sure, because the way I've got mine landed. Let me make sure that that's perfectly, because I do kind of obsess about that as well. Yeah. So if I'm sharing a screen, everything that is supposed to be in view for folks to see, right? Because again, we don't do this for us. We do it for you and for the community. So if we're sharing and talking about a story, we wanted to make sure that it's good for you. But yeah, I do the exact same thing. Okay.
Looking good, James. Looking good, man.
Just trying to make sure it's right. All right.
Hey, you got to go all out.
Pre-warn everyone. This is going to sound like a lot of work, but listen, if you're making content, you got to put in the work. You just can't drop a live stream and then go away.
Hold on. Say that one more time. Don't gloss over that. Say that one more time.
You have to put in the work because you just can't go live and then go away and expect to be successful. You got to do a lot of things before your stuff gets published and after your stuff gets published. This is what I'm going into now. So this is if I have an edited video, not necessarily, some of this applies for live too, but this is for an edited video. This is what I do. I do all the metadata, every piece of metadata. You can't ignore anything: title, description, keywords, cards, end screens, and closed captioning. You got to do it, folks. You got to do it. There's a whole reason why. We'll skip over that. Everything must be in a playlist. The thumbnail, you have to create not only the thumbnail for the video, you've got to create the square one for Instagram. You got to create a thumbnail for your blog without the logo in it, because your blog already has the logo in the map. So you need to create all these little graphics in the proper sizes. That's why Hootsuite tripped me up, because it tried to jam one size fits all, and I have to learn how to push the buttons in Hootsuite. But that's what I ran into. Sometimes you should do a 30-second teaser video, do the email newsletter, draft my blog post, draft an instructable if I'm doing something on my woodworking channel. There's a website teaches you step-by-step how to do something, and then add my content to Notion. And then after I publish it, now this is where it really gets squirrely. You again, make sure it's in a playlist. Make sure there's a featured video on your homepage of YouTube, because that's an old legacy feature, but it's still there. Yeah. You shouldn't ignore it. So I make sure the current video is featured. I post my content all over the Facebook groups, the Twitters, the Instagram, with the link in the bio. And I go on Patreon. I put a Patreon post, a blog post, sometimes LinkedIn, and then I'll post my Instructable live, and then I'll send the email newsletter. It's got to go. Wow. You got to put in this work, folks. Wow. You got to put in this work.
Yeah, I was going to do it. I had my fingers on a button, and you did it for me anyway. So thank you. Thank you. And one more time, can I give you a preacher thing? Amen.
Amen. So
amen.
There it is right there, folks. And I won't necessarily, I think we all kind of agree with that, but they're putting in the work, putting the work into the craft. If you're serious about this. Yeah, you can't, again, a lot of times folks just say, put your phone out there in front of your face, press record, and go live. Yeah, you can do that. But again, if this is something that you're passionate about, if this is something that you really want to start telling stories and having that engagement and building community, you got to put all of this work in. You just got to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, and there's no shortcuts. Why are you going to shortcut yourself? Matt, that tech check that you have, is that something that's publicly accessible? Do you have that available somewhere?
Yes, it's
that folks can
what you do is you sign up for my email newsletter.
And there you go. It was a plug again.
Sign up. Yeah. Let me talk to you. Let me get that list.
Get that.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Screen cap that bad boy.
Yeah.
Or you can also go to allthingsyoutube.com and then scroll down to newsletter and click the link you do, and it'll send you, because that's a bunch of
Matt, let me tag on you with that. The fact of my wife or some of my friends would always say, well, how long does it actually take you just to do a 2-minute video? I'm like, you don't understand. It's 3 to 4 hours of prep before the 2-minute video. So you're
Yeah.
talking probably 2 to 4 hours to produce a 2-minute video. Help me out, Matt, Robert, to actually produce it with all the content, with all the research, to actually produce the content for 2 minutes. It's probably at least 2 or 3 hours. Making the thumbnail, doing all the prep work, like you said, Matt, putting all the metadata in, writing all the copy, finding all the images. That stuff just takes time. It's not just 10 minutes and you're done. It's just nothing's like that. So Matt explained it so perfectly. I just want to give him
an
a time
hour
limit.
a minute is a good day.
Yeah,
like
an hour
that hardly ever happens.
Easy.
And here's the other thing. I didn't even talk about this. You have to watch your content back. You have to watch your content back.
Yeah.
So if you do a 10-minute live, you got to take 10 minutes and watch it all back, and you never not do it. That's how you get better.
That's a good non-assumption right there as well. Because for like my audio podcast, and a lot of times you hear folks that say they don't like listening to themselves or whatever, but you've got to sit in the seat of your audience and kind of see what that intro sounds like, see what your opening remarks sounds like, see what your guest sounds like, and make sure that your levels are correct on your audio mixer and things like that. These are the things that you've just got to do. Don't be deterred by these things. We're saying that, yes, a lot of work, and if you want it to be high quality, you got to do these things. Now, if you just want to put something out there and you just want to put some video out there real quick and share, you're out there traveling with your family and you just want to shoot some random video, put that on Facebook. But if you're trying to be serious out here in these content creation streets, do some of these things that we're talking about, folks.
Matt fills that whole subject up, though. So we can leave that. Matt
I'm not even going to go into anything that I've got to say, but I do want to see what
he put the kibosh on that.
Let me address this right here from Quint. Rules change pretty rapidly and randomly at times. Are there things that you do to make sure you don't get a strike or demonetized, including guests, or are certain streams worth risking it for? Man, that's a timely question that you have right here, because one of these gentlemen on this stream right now just got a strike for part one. You got a strike for, right? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, it's not really a strike. It was just more of
you got a strike.
With Epidemic Sound,
right? Yeah. Explain the whole situation so it's not
what
vague.
It is that a couple weeks ago when Matt and I were guest on James' show, I used Restream pairs to be able to push James' show to be able to shown on Shalala Productions YouTube channel, so that way it helped expand the reach for James' show. But the thing was that some of the music was tied to James' program, and what I didn't know that he had, I keep saying epidural, but I meant to say Epidemic Sound, and what it is that the audio is designated within James' channel, not my Shalala production channel. So when it goes through, there's like a copyright claim that was put on the video. I mean, I could still play the video, but I mean, if I want to like monetize it, that's where it can get a problem. And so, sure enough, I reached out to Restream and say, hey, do you guys have like any template forms I could use to be able to reach out to say, hey, I got a strike and stuff like that. So, well, you have to go to the end user to be able to resolve it. I'm like, end users? Yeah, reach out to YouTube. I said, well, wait, if the strike come from Epidemic, it's a matter of reaching out to Epidemic to be able to explain the situation. So I had to reach out to James and say, hey, this is what happened. And then I find out that it's a personal account, not a commercial account, where you're able to extend the coverage there. So it's things like that to be able to watch out for, so that you can try to like head off that type of potential problem before it happens. Luckily, it's only a claim, so that it doesn't mean that I can't play the video. Just more like on the monetizing side of it, where if I wanted to be able to monetize from that video, that's where it poses problem. Because not to say that I don't think I'm gonna monetize it, but I mean, it's not something that I anticipate is going to happen right away. That it doesn't pose a challenge, but it does, at least for like next stream or with another content creator or what have you. It's something to be aware of. As far as I know, you can only do one of three things. One, James had mentioned succinctly, where if you just make micro content of it, that's
Yeah.
something that shouldn't be a problem. Another thing is just that I think I had asked on Loria's program on Livestream Pro. She mentioned it's just a matter like if you also have an Epidemic Sounds account, just to be able to know like which tunes that you're playing, so that your subscription should be able to cover if when the music comes over as an option. And the third is just a matter, just kind of like if you're able like the get ahead of it in the pre-production, maybe it's just a matter of finding songs or music that may not warrant a copyright claim. So that just be an example of just things to watch out for when you deal with such challenges like that.
That's true. So to recap for you, Quinn, really, and I think Matt said it best, right? Avoid it at all costs. Only use stuff, audio, images, videos that you own or are actually royalty free and copyright free. So within the YouTube environment, they actually have audio that is royalty free. There are a number of sites. We've mentioned Epidemic Sound. There's Audio Eye or something like that. There's a ton of other platforms as well that you pay for a subscription, so you actually own the right to be able to post those on your channel. But I almost think that Restream didn't plan for this with pairs, right? Because again, since I have that private license for the sound like everyone has heard in my intro and that you're going to hear in my outro as well, my channels are cleared for that. But yeah, when you're pairing that with other individuals and other creators, them getting a strike, because they don't explicitly say that you need to have that commercial license. I actually had to read in some very fine
It's
print.
a claim, not a strike.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Right.
I meant to say claim. Yeah, correct. So
Yeah.
good distinction as well. Yeah, it was the copyright claim. But
Especially
the way
if you're doing a live stream too, guys, throw that out there. I did a live stream with someone else where I was taking their stream in and it was coming live off of my channel.
Yeah.
And they were playing regular jazz music from a bunch of different artists in a like a segue spot. And once the live stream was done, I got sent a message saying, hey, this whole 2-hour video cannot be monetized because this split second of content was owned by, Miles Davis, whoever the guy was they were playing in the background. I think it was Brian Culberson, matter of fact, which is a good friend of mine. So they said, well, you can't use this spot of it. So I went into YouTube Editor, which is in your YouTube studio, and just took that part, the music out, and splashed something else in there, hit upload, went back up, and they cleared it. So there are times when you can use the actual YouTube platform itself, go into YouTube Studio, and remove the spot that they're talking about without losing the entire video. Just a heads up for that, as someone does have that.
Do the I think it's the trim within the customization piece. Yeah.
That's there for you, just in case.
Yeah. And thanks, Matt, for clarifying my word there. Yeah. Claim versus a strike. A strike is definitely not what you want. The claim is just really a warning, and you don't want to get too many warnings, and then you start getting really, really looked at negatively. But yeah, the claim is more of the warning.
Try having a music channel. I get copyright claimed left and right. And I'm not using the recorded song. I'm performing it with all my own instruments. They still get you because copyright is the actual published work and it's the melody. There's two parts to it, and they get you. So.
Got you.
The only thing I would add is like if for a project that we had to do early in the summer and it was like a live performance, and they would use copyrighted music, and now we can't like we all know you can't have that going on a live stream. So luckily during like the pre-production meeting that we're able to say, hey, there's some sections that we can't play the music because you don't want to have like you don't want to have a strike on your videos. So we had to time it so that before the music would go on, we'd have to cut the audio and then at least alert the audience to know that, hey, for this portion of the video that we're streaming, we had the mute just because that there's music that they're playing that we don't have the rights to. So sometimes it's just a matter of just being upfront with the audience so that they know what's going on, so that they know it's not a tech problem, but just more of a copyright issue. In most cases that the audience understand, because either they're fellow streamers or just aware of the situation, that they're okay with it. So it's just a more of a point of just I'm a big advocate of a pre-production planning and everything like that you can catch a lot of these things so that it avoids the ability of losing anything that's left on top of your head here. So
All of us low. That's why I normally wear a hat. I'm surprised I'm not wearing a hat here. You guys are seeing too much. I shaved for you guys, right? So I actually cleaned
You
up just
shaved
a
for the
little
wife.
bit.
Don't act up. But that's
So
okay.
hopefully that was informative. Thanks, Quint, for chiming in. That was a great question that needed to be had. I tell you what, I want to still have a conversation about one last topic, and it kind of culminates what we've all talked about. We talked about pre, we talked about intro, we talked about post, but getting all of those individuals that you want to talk to, those people that you want to have a conversation with, how do you bring them into your ecosystem, into your environment? How do you schedule all of that? Right? Do you, again, is it just simple as picking up the phone? Is it just as simple as sending out an email? Is it sending a link to a calendaring service, Appointly, Calendly, whatever the case may be? What do you guys use? And I'll go backwards this time, and I'll start with you, Derek.
I wish I was as good as y'all and use Calendly because I love that app. I've seen a lot of the creators use it.
Mhm.
So I think I'm gonna have to jump on that because I'm still old school. I'll send an email over. Hey, do you have a moment when we can chat? And what I'll do normally is send them 3 times they can choose. I've got time here, here, and here. Can choose a time that works for you. And usually they'll come back without. When you give someone choices, they at least choose one.
Yeah.
So if you just say, hey, when you have time, you'll never hear back. So it's always, hey, I'd love to hear from you. Do you have time here, here, here? And we can chat about these 3 or 4 bullet points and out. I try not to make the emails long because as you all know, we don't have time to read some 7-page paragraph about why you want to talk to me. Just give me the input. I'm glad you're here. Here's the bullet points. Which of these times work? And I'm out.
Gotcha.
And that seems to make it faster. But I think Calendly is a great application. I think that's one I'm going to be checking out soon.
Yeah, I use it, and then after you guys go, I'll pull up my page just to show how kind of straightforward it is from a deployment on my side. What about you, Robert?
I don't know why I'm blanking out here.
Yeah, you look like you completely were somewhere else.
I was trying to follow along with Derek.
Is nap time there for you, sir?
I mean, when you get to a certain age, you just kind of like blanking out here. I'm at the punch just because I'm trying to blank, guys.
No worries, sir. No worries, sir. What about you, Matt? What do you use for scheduling your? Oh well, again, you only do it once a year.
I do like Calendly though. That's a great service to find the time that works against multiple people.
Mm-hmm.
It does, but I like the one-man streaming. Then no one lets you down if it's only you. So.
Oh, look at that! There, one throat to choke. There, kind of. Well, is it PC to say
that?
That?
I like yourself a lot there.
Yeah, I probably should. I'll edit that out. I probably should.
No.
Man.
I tell you,
that's a great service though. Calendly, they got something good going on there.
Yeah. So here's mine, right? I have 3 items in my Calendly, right? I've got an option for you to book me 45 minutes for a consultation, and that's actually a paid engagement. So I've got it linked to Stripe and PayPal. So type in your credit card information, whatever the case may be, and you can book me for those types of conversations to be on one of the lives. This specific calendar right here will go out. It's an hour-long session, and there's workflows built into Calendly that actually will say, give me your bio, give me your headshot, give me your social media links, and you can't actually submit without putting in that information, right? So you can't just halfway give me the information that it's going to be needed anyway during the conversation. So I actually have those built into the workflow. And then, just for a quick 15-minute meeting or something, right? I've got those as well. It's integrated with Zoom. It's integrated with Google Meet. Love all of those capabilities as well. But one thing that they just launched, which will be important to you, Derek, that you were just talking about, meeting polls.
Yeah, man.
So there's a thing right there of being able to say, I want to give a certain number of days and times. I don't want to share my calendar here just on the line.
Yeah, we know about James now. We got you.
Yeah,
we know where you're going to be at tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't want to see that. And maybe some Christmas shopping things that I don't want the kids to see. But meeting polls just launched, right? So again, you're able to now schedule and say, these are the time frames that I'm available. If these match with your schedule as well, put it in and check off and say, yeah, I can meet here, I can meet here. And then I can turn that into an actual meeting, a live cast meeting or a consultation. So Calendly is great. I'm not an affiliate, so I'm not getting paid for any conversation. If you sign up for it, it's just a great service that's really robust. There's a tons of other ones out there, but this one has a lot of software development around it, and they continue to evolve and continue to innovate. So that's good stuff. So, folks, we did it. I think we touched on a lot of fantastic stuff. Gave folks some good insight into the world and the mind of a content creator. The fact that we are chock full of crazy. But we do it because we love it, and we do it because, again, we like sharing stories, and we like hearing people tell their stories, and we love just contributing to the community. So let me do this kind of in closing, and I'm gonna go around, and I'll start with we'll go Robert, we'll go Matt, and then we'll go Derek. Tell folks where they can find you and what you're working on, and if there's any social link that you'd like to talk about specifically. In your closing remarks.
Thanks, James.
You're not still blanking out, are you?
No, I was just to say Calendly was the answer for the earlier question. I don't know why I'm like... And too bad you're not getting an affiliate link with it, because I would have, But anyway, to your point, in terms of where folks can hit me, you can if you're on LinkedIn, you can connect me with it there. Just send a request. You can also find me on Instagram. I do have a Twitter account. I also share the same surname. And on the YouTube channel, you can just drop me a message there as well, where you can find me on the social medias. So just welcome the help as best I can. Or if you just want to give a shout out as to what you think of the program, because I'd love to hear what folks are seeing and thinking.
Love it. Thank you, sir. Mr. Haas.
allthingsyoutube.com. That's
I gotta
my
get
website.
me some of those. I gotta make some of those little.
He is so
all my
good.
links on it. But hey,
jelly.
I have this Facebook group. Go ahead and request access. I'll approve you. We've got a thriving community of people trying to boost their business success on YouTube. So that's there for you as well. And I'm all over the interwebs. If you want to see all my channels at one go, you can go to wizardofhaas.com, HAAS.com, and then you'll get all my YouTubes there. But yeah, that's where you find everything that you need.
You're a special guy. You're gonna have to match that energy right there, Derek. What you got?
I'm just so jelly for Matt. He's got all the cool props. I just wasn't prepared. I feel bad. So for me, and if you want to be inspired or motivated or uplifted, please stop by the Beautiful Now Project. So it's simple as you see there, youtube.com, the Beautiful Now Project. There's 3 segments there that may be able to encourage you. There's one called Chasing the Impossible, which talks to celebs and people that have walked through some crazy stories and journeys to tell you no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're chasing, you can get there too. There's another segment called Beautiful Now Live, and that's the topical thing where I talk to other people and guests about things that are topical and relevant to you and your community. And then, of course, we try to break down and give you just 2-minute interviews with different people across the planet. So there's lots of encouraging content there. Oh, I'm sorry, and Life Hacks, which is a 2-minute motivational video that you get every Monday if you come and sign in. And it's just hacking the code to a beautiful life, one video at a time. Super small points to just kind of get your brain going. How can I better my life in a small way? So that's what I do on my channel. Would love to see you. Stop by and subscribe. I'm almost at 2,000. Love to have you there. Maybe you could be the 2,000 subscriber and win some free stuff. So see what's going on.
I love it, brother. Well, and speaking of celebrities, we just saw Miss Eileen Smith jump in the room there. So we got to give some shouts out to Miss Eileen Smith in the building. So love that. Not leaving you out to venture forward. We saw you too, so we want to give you some shouts out. But we've got to talk to Miss Eileen as well. So, gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you for all of your time. Thank you for the information. I think this conversation needed to happen. I think folks really got some value out of it. May want to do something different if we decide to do like a part 3, kind of focus in on one of those kind of pillars, right? On either the production, the tool, the best practice, or the ideas. Because again, these conversations need to happen as opposed to just always assuming that folks know how to do it. You can't just tell someone to go fire up a YouTube channel and just go have at it. The coaching, the conversation, the how to from folks who are already out there doing it really, I think, matters. And These three gentlemen right here know what they're talking about. So I have no problems with pointing someone to Matt, Robert, or Derek in terms of if they need some assistance. So that being said, you guys be good. Don't eat too much. It's the weekend. Derek, put down the glass of wine.
Hey, it's empty. I need some more now.
It's already empty. Oh my God. I don't know what to say. Folks, be good. Take care of yourself. We are out.